Obviously, this is aimed at the whole family, whereas Horrible Histories was more a kids' programme. Is that harder to do because you've got to appeal to a much wider audience?
I don't know. I mean, sort of in some ways. I think the producers, when they were making Horrible Histories, always said to us very early on, they said, we'll just make a sketch show. And to a degree, we just made a comedy, but then made sure the references were something that children can get. The main difference was that was so factually based, and it's primarily sort of, an educational show that uses comedy to deliver those facts, whereas this was sort of kind of freeing us of that constraint, I suppose, in that it was just the only constraint we had was what's the funniest thing you can think of. The backdrop to this film is historical, but what's happening in the story is just ridiculous.
But did you kind of in the back of your mind think, oh, we can only go this far, there's only we can't do this, it's too risque, because there might be children watching?
Well, yes, but I mean, this whole scripting process takes such a long time, and also I think now we've developed quite a good
sort of
inbuilt line where you just go, can't do that.
Particularly through doing Yonderland, of sort of, we found what tone is, and you want to be, you're cheeky, but you're cheeky up to a point. Yeah. And we tend to recognise when we stepped over it, there'll be someone in the group who'll go, not sure about that line, and then we pull back. So we normally look after each other.
There's always something that someone goes, not sure. And you have to sort of have a bit of a tussle over it, and actually it's fine.
So there's nothing that you really, really would have liked to have snuck in there that you couldn't get in because somebody went, no, look, that'll get you an 18. You can't do that.
I don't think so. No. There was one, I can't say the line, it's one of my favourites in the film and I don't want to spoil it. There's one line that Lope says that from really early on, I said, that's the only deal breaker for me in the script. I have to keep those words in. And they let us. Yeah. So I don't think we kind of didn't have any tussles on that front.
I don't think so.
Oh, that's good. Which was of all of the characters was the one that was most fun for you to write?
I can say this because you play him, I loved writing Philip. I think we both really enjoyed the kids. He's just got his voice and also his kind of dramatic voice and being this
comedy
real
villains. Comedy villains are great fun because at their heart they believe they are the coolest, most dastardly person. Yeah. But everyone around them would go, that guy's a bit of a loser. He's like the idiot who walks into the bar late with sort of leather trousers on and hangs out around the bar and thinks he's cool. And everyone just goes, no, that guy, not that guy.
And I enjoyed writing Marlowe actually because he takes himself so very seriously. So he's fun to undercut.
So how did you? Because obviously there are characters that are real, like Marlowe and Shakespeare, things like that. But it's not as historical as Horrible Histories. Was there? Did you pretty much have free reign? Because it is a period of time that nobody really knew much about. So you didn't have to worry.
Yeah. It's kind of 50-50 that we've got, there's, like you say, there's characters, there's sort of little cameos from people like Drake and Raleigh, and even, the character that Damian Lewis plays is based on a historical character. But equally, and like King Philip at this time was trying to unthrone Elizabeth I, but he wasn't doing it in person. He wouldn't have had this gang of assassins who we could make up. The Earl of Croydon is just kind of standing in for all of the forgotten courtiers, People remember the Earl of Essex and things like that, but there's a whole raft of people who've just been a little footnote in history, and so it was it was like licensed to invent those sort of things.
We like to imagine that Croydon didn't become a sort of major sort of
one of the big players
big players for that very reason, but
I thought it was a great part. Now Croydon's famous for something just as well as IKEA. So that's quite
exactly. That's what we wanted. We wrote a lot of we wrote the screenplay in Croydon. So we sort of, as we say in the film, we wanted to put Croydon on the map.
Absolutely. So was there a fight over who got to play Bill?
No,
really early on. We just, as soon as we'd written the first 3 or 4 pages, and sort of when this feels like it's Matt, and also he's the young one. And we wanted to play him as a man of 30, and just sort of hitting that age where he sort of should be settling down, but still having these dreams that he thinks are unfulfilled. And
so neither of you deep down really wanted the role.
No way.
No, I'd love to. I think it would have been fun to play, but I don't think I'd have done it as well as Matt. So I think I'm very happy for him to.
What I like was the fact that Bill and Marlowe end up dressed up as vegetables at the market. So what is the worst job you've both had that wasn't an acting role? What's before you became?
Ben Wilmot.
I worked in a lot of call centres.
Right.
I worked in a lot of call centres.
So you got hung up on a lot then?
Yeah, a lot. And all the time thinking, one day you'll see. Do you see?
I don't know. I've had some interesting jobs, and none of them have been awful. I think the strangest one I used to. A friend of mine owned a company that made body jewellery, and so I made a lot of body jewellery, which was very repetitive, balls on shafts, very repetitive sort of work. But it was kind of, he gave a little home to like creative waste and strays, and so there'd be like me and then a musician and a poet, and they sort of sit there discussing philosophy whilst kind of doing manual labour. And it was actually, in some ways, it was one of the best jobs I've ever had. It was a unique experience.
I can imagine. Now I've got a question from a 10-year-old, because we're a Movies4Kids website, and it's actually better than all my questions. You have to both quote a line from Shakespeare, but it can't be to be or not to be.
Okay. I always like the one that we use in the film for Croydon, the villain smiling, damn that villain.
That's right, that's good.
The moment in the film where he thinks he might just get away with what he's done, and it sort of gets his comeuppance. Although I also I drink to the general health of the whole room, I think it is, which is just this idea of Tudor revelry.
What's the quote underneath my character sheet? Is it heavy?
Oh, heavy lies the head that wears a crown.
That wears a crown. Yeah. I mean, you can just find
it's a treasure trove.
It is. It's just amazing.
Everything we tried when we were looking at we've got these little character posters, and we were thinking about doing all these clever little slogans and things, and every time you sort of look into Shakespeare and go, I wonder if he said something that you always find a line that's better than anything you can come up with.
Ever.
So now you would be like the best pub quiz team, you guys. Would
we'd be a bit better. My memory's so terrible. Even the things I've learned, I forget. But
we'd make a good pointless team.
If
they invited us on.
You would, and it'd be embarrassing if you weren't. Wouldn't it?
That's true.
Can you imagine?
Would it?
Right. Well, first question. So Bill and Marlo end up walking around dressed as vegetables. So what I want to know is, what is the worst job you had that isn't an acting job before you?
I worked in a call centre that specialised in inheritance tax mitigation. So, and I just have to stress that everyone there was very nice. But I had to ring people and remind them of their impending death, and have they set aside any mitigation policies
really
for their assets. Yeah, it's really
good experience for your later career.
Yeah, I suppose. I learned a bit about inheritance tax, I suppose, Yeah, that's mine.
I drove electric vans for a bit, but it was quite a while ago. It was sort of the 90s. Remember the 90s?
I'm afraid I do.
It was the 90s when electric vans were...
I was going to say, did they work then?
Well, exactly. They didn't go very far, so I would deliver in electric vans. That was its thing, green delivery. And I would go and deliver flowers, but generally I'd get about 2 miles from the depot and I'd have to go back and charge it up. And the company failed because the technology wasn't there. 98 or something.
Oh, yeah. Were they like milk floats?
Yeah, like...
Hairdryers?
Yeah, I drove around in a hairdryer delivering goods.
I worked in a greasy spoon, which was pretty bad. It was in a market in Birmingham.
Did you smell of fat?
Chip fat all day.
Yeah.
And my parents, very nice, Harbour... Maybe can I say that? Harbour Market Cafe.
Oh, okay.
It's not there. Cafe. Right. Cafe, rather. And my parents kindly said that they come for breakfast, and then sort of looked at it and thought, well, we'll just have a cup of tea, shall we? So it was pretty grim, but yeah.
Full experience, isn't
exactly.
it? One thing, I've got a question from a 10-year-old, because I thought they'd come up with a better one than me.
Yeah.
Right.
And their question is that you've each got to quote a line from Shakespeare, but you can't do to be or not to be. Don't you just love kids?
Yes.
Okay.
Never, 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 never. King Lear.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?
Yeah. And I forsooth in lie, I that have been love's whip. That's Barone from Love Labour's Lost.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it's my audition speech that I learnt years ago.
Oh, God.
Done.
Bastards. All, that's probably not a good one. That's not a good one for it. That is in...
PG.
I know, but I was doing my audition speech. Which is Edmund
You've
from...
answered it.
Edmund... Edmund from King Lear. And no one had already answered it. But he does a speech about having no father, not knowing his.
That word's still a
out of
PG.
wedlock.
It's only when
It
you get
is,
further
exactly,
it becomes
yeah.
a 12 or
It's,
a 15.
it's an
It's the
official
voice.
born out of wedlock.
Is that your
It's only
Shakespeare
meant.
voice?
Bastard, yes.
By the pricking of my
By the
thumbs.
pricking of my thumbs, something rotten this way comes.
Do you think now then, with all these facts that you've got from, well, not so much from this one because I know it's not so factual, but from Horrible Histories, you just make a killer pub quiz team now? All of you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
Yeah,
think so.
maybe. Although it's hard to remember. Like when we did so much in Horrible Histories, it kind of goes in and then it's got to go out for something else to come in because you just can't retain everything.
Yeah.
So actually, I think the children that we meet know more than we do,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Do the kids come up and ask you stuff and then you're like,
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah.
totally.
they remember sort of individual sketches that we did sort of 6 years ago.
Yeah, they do.
And you have to think back. And when you think back to it, it was an afternoon or it was sort of 10 to 7 in the evening. And we did it in 10 minutes. So, yeah, it's just, we just did so much stuff in that show.
The Kings and Queens song is quite useful for because apart from
Did you learn that, Simon?
I learned the first
Yeah.
bit that I had to
Just
sing
didn't you? Yeah.
and then just mouthed along to the rest of it like I usually like I did with everything else. William. Bam, 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 banana.
so maybe not the best pub quiz team.
No, I wouldn't rely
Don't
on
ask
it.
us.
I mean, with this, you've all got multiple roles. Have you each got a favourite that you played in the film that you've enjoyed most?
My favourite is probably Marlowe, the principal character that I play. But for fun, I enjoyed playing Grubby Man 2, who a lot of the stuff in that scene was cut actually, but because it's quite a dark scene. It's when Anne's about to be mugged in a sort of alleyway, and Croydon and Ian come to the rescue. So yeah, that was the part. That was an enjoyable part.
Grubby man.
Grubby Man
What,
2,
mugging me. Yeah.
mugging you, but it was
Yeah.
mostly the voice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Looks like some little
Yeah.
bird.
Yeah.
Who let alone this?
Would you have that on your CV now? You know, you
Grubby
have
Man
Marlowe
2.
and Grubby
Yeah,
Man
yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Every part I've played in Horrible Histories is on my CV.
That must be
No,
a
it's
very.
not.
I was going to say, it'd be like pages.
Can you imagine?
Often it's a voice that, like Juan is one a character I enjoy doing, but just because it's very satisfying to go into the voice for you, and I could talk all day in it because it's a very pleasant place to be. But stop now. But yeah, it's usually a voice that that you enjoy doing, and so that's one. Juan.
I think for me, I loved playing Anne, but obviously for fun, same as Jim, the body collector, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, do you find when kids come up to you, do they ask you to do a specific role from Horrible Histories? Do they sort of
Songs sometimes, they ask for the
Yeah.
to sing the song. But
I was at a sort of family-friendly festival once, and I had a couple of pints of cider. And but yeah, well, that's it was lunchtime, and some kids came up to me and asked me to sing the Kings and Queens song with them, and they were all called Philip. Yeah, I couldn't remember it.
What's the question again?
The kids come up
Kids,
to you and
when-
ask you.
Oh yeah, do the stupid deaths.
I was
Yeah,
gonna-
do
Do
the
the
stupid
Skellington.
death. Do the stupid deaths. Yeah, one guy in a service station had already told his son he was gonna get me to do it, and he came over and went, do the dance from my boy, and I went, I'm just picking up the Top Gear magazine.
was he one of the
I'm in a
greats?
shop.
Do
He was
Do
sausage
the
man. Do the dance. from
Do
my
a
boy.
dance. I don't know
But
what it is, but he
I
does.
went, I'm not going to do that here. I'm really sorry. And he went, I've told him you're going to do it.
Oh,
It's over there. And I said, he's going to do it. And he went, you said you were going to do it. I said,
on the forecourt.
do it. Don't do it like that. I was like, listen, mate, I'm not taking notes. I've just done a bit, okay? Now I want to go and buy my magazines.
So somewhere on
Hang on,
CCTV, a sort of like
Yeah,
Shell
yeah,
service
yeah.
station
Yeah,
video
it will be,
doing
yeah.
that.
Oh, did you have your cap on as well?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. ever so much.
Thank you.